right, just checking in. We're live. Want to welcome everybody. Thursday afternoon. Just want to make sure that everything's working. Let me see. Yep, sounds like everything's working. How's everyone doing on this Thursday afternoon? Hope it's great where you are. This is May 19th, part three of my Failure and Confidence series. I really am excited to kind of get into this one. The first one I talked about really revolved around, how do we build confidence? But we have to build confidence through struggle, through some kind of adversity, through learning something new. And for a lot of us, that's starting with a plan. That's starting with a goal in mind and trying to achieve a goal. And I bet you know there's a lot of different challenges that are going on. There's 75 hard. There are like 30-day challenges. All these different things that we've created in order to help ourselves build our confidence, right? And I've seen that all of these have a very consistent theme to them, right? The first is creating the plan, right? We all get excited about the goal, what we want to accomplish. Then we line everything out. We put this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put up my schedule, and that's all great. And last week I went over the courage to get started because I think a lot of us have that fear of failure from the beginning, and it takes a lot of courage to do something new for the first time. But this week, I'm going to dive into perseverance. So, if last week was all about finding the courage to start, this is about the perseverance to continue. What's it going to take to keep going? There's a old Chinese proverb that says, "The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step." Um, that's kind of the single step. Everyone focuses, oh, I take the single step. Well, what happens when you encounter that first big obstacle, right? Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. That first punch in the face, that first piece of adversity that we face, really is, I think, what drives a lot of us to quit and erodes our confidence. So my question for today, as I like to start off all my lives with a good question, um, and if you're here live watching, comment below, guys. I want to know if if you're here, how you're doing today, and answer this question. If you're watching on the replay, please answer the question in the comments below. How many times will you try doing something before you quit on it? Right? That's really what it boils down to. So you can do something a set amount of times until you succeed or until you quit, right? And I think having that in our minds as we proceed forward with different goals and different ways to build our confidence is really important. Edison was probably the best example or the most celebrated failure in all of history. He has a famous quote that basically says, I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work." And you like my little drawing up here. Hey, James, how's it going? I love that you made it to one of my lives. This is fantastic. Um, you see my little drawing up here? It's the imagery of the light bulb, right? And something that we take for granted every single day. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb, but he improved on the light bulb, and he made over 2,774 attempts before he found the proper bamboo filament to produce a commercially viable light bulb that people can use and that would be something that would be used, that we use today. 2,774 attempts, 2,774 failures, things that did not work for him, 2,774 times, right? I'm going to put this down. This was just for one of his invention or one of his improvements on an invention. But ask yourself, how many attempts do you try at something before you quit on it? Before you stop? When things start to get frustrating, hard. My number depends on how I perceive the impact of the task. That's true, right? The more important the attempt, the more attempts you're going to give up, or you're going to give towards the goal, right? And that's what really it's all about, which kind of, I like to focus in on what was going through this man's head, what goes through our heads as we're attempting something. we're going to feel all the different feelings. There's going to be frustration, anger, doubt, and defeat at times, right? But what is that thing that's going to get you to persevere? And I kind of put, that's my theme for today's live, is perseverance, right? What's it going to take? What kind of perseverance do you need? If you need courage to start, you'll need perseverance to execute. And that kind of leads me to my three kind of teaching points for today, right? And the first one, James kind of pointed it out below, is what do you stand to lose if you stop? So what are you going to lose, right? Because that's the big one, is that you have a goal, you have a dream, you have a desire, right? Ahead of time. And then as you start, that desire will wane or could wane. And it all depends on how much you desire the outcome. So if for you, and I'll use an example, say you were trying to quit smoking, right? What do you stand to lose if you stop and you just give in and you go back? Well, you could give into your health conditions, right? Cancer, that's a big one. You could alienate your family. They might not want to be around you. You can stink because it smells, and it's smelly. No one likes to smell like cigarettes anymore. It's like, I saw someone smoking the other day, and I'm like, wow, that's still a thing, huh? Right? And that's one of those things where what do you stand to lose if you stop? If it's just because you don't want to stop or it's too hard, well, then your why isn't strong enough. And we talked about your why, and when you're going into creating a goal, why that's so important. And it crops up again in part of the perseverance. What will you lose? We know what we'll gain. We have this desire, we have this objective, but what do you lose if you stop now, right? And are you okay with it? Can you live with it, right? And I have another one, number 2 is more of a tactical one, right? And this is important because I think that when you're planning something difficult and when you're trying to build that confidence, we really need to also put in plans for failure. So what is your plan for failure? That's number 2, right? So what's your plan for failure? And I have a couple of different ideas here that I know work. You need to have a support system. So what's your plan for failure? And here it really is critical. Studies have shown that your chance of success increases to 95% if you have an accountability partner. It's almost guaranteed that you'll succeed if you have someone who you can lean on, right? If you have someone that you show up to every day. One of the things I always talk about quite a bit with friends and colleagues and with clients is that concept of integrity, and how many times will you break your promise to somebody else versus how many times do you break your promise to yourself, right? And this accountability partner has to do with keeping your word, and before you learn to have integrity with yourself, you leveraging that integrity that you would have with somebody else. So a couple of things to think about when you're looking for an accountability partner is to find someone who will hold you accountable, someone you can touch base with on a regular basis, once a week, twice a week. Find someone who's objective. I think a lot of times we look to our spouses or a close friend, and they can't necessarily be objective, or parent. That's another one that can't be objective. I know as a parent. So look for somebody who can be objective. In AA, they always have a sponsor, right? The sponsor is just somebody who's been through what you've been through and can help guide you to that promised land. So depending on what your goal is, look for someone who can help to get you there, right? And as we talked about in the earlier lives, define your goals. Really have a clear definition. Share that with them, right? Share with your accountability partner your goal, your plans, and how you're going to measure progress, right? Because that which gets measured improves. And then check in regularly. So that's really the plan for failure. And I would just say, put here, this is an accountability partner. Right, 95%. If you don't believe me, try to do something hard by yourself, and then when you give up on it, try to do it with somebody else. and see how much easier and how much more fun you're going to have to actually do something hard, right? And the last one I'm going to highlight is, I think this is so overlooked and it's talked about a lot, but even I have a tough time with this as well. It's celebrate the wins, right? You have to celebrate along the way. Because if you don't, what's the point, right? The road can be long. It can take a month, a week, or a year to execute something big that you're trying to accomplish. And if you're not celebrating along the way, it actually takes a lot of the enjoyment and a lot of the desire and will out of doing the hard thing. And that's why when you have an accountability partner, this is somebody who can remind you of what you have to lose. This is somebody who can hold you accountable on a daily basis, but also someone you can go to celebrate the win. We love to share. We're human. We're social creatures. We want to share our wins, our losses, our struggles. And especially in our society today, we keep it all bottled up. So to be able to open up, not just with the issues that we have, but also with the wins and the successes, is very liberating. And it's going to, I think, catapult you to the success stage, to the I'm very excited by doing this. I think this is going to be great. And anything we're doing is a marathon and not a sprint. Thanks, James. I know that you've run your fair share of marathons, right? Yeah. So, I know, but I appreciate that. That's a good one. And again, we have to plan for that, right? And I think with the challenges, we always look at challenges as having to be difficult. They can be difficult. But if you don't look to find a way to make it enjoyable and satisfying, then the chances of success drop. And in order, like we said at the beginning of this series, in order to build confidence comes through overcoming these adversities, over the getting through the struggle. And I think that's really what I'm trying to highlight here, is that when you're in what my one coach calls the river of misery, which is that period in the middle where you're struggling the most and you're digging deep to find the reason to keep going, look to these 3 points. Think about, reconnect with why you're doing it, right? What do you stand to lose from quitting? What's your plan for failure? Have you checked in with your accountability partner? Do you even have one? 95%, right? Think about that next time. You have a 95% chance of success if you lean on someone. And then celebrate the wins, right? Those are the 3 points that I have today. My quick action, really, if you have to implement, taking these lessons and just thinking on them doesn't do you any good. Go out and implement one of these things, right? Go out and implement this challenge. Do something that you would normally expect to fail at for 1 week, okay? I'll give you an example. Something simple, something that won't kill you. Go without sugar for 7 days, okay? Find an accountability partner and check in with them daily and just say it's a yes or a no at the end of the day, right? Text them and say, hey, I'm going to go without sugar for 7 days. And then text them at the end of the day, is it a yes, is it a no, and see if you can string together 7, right? When you trip up, because it's inevitable, we all trip up when we're trying something new, try to figure out the why. Why did you trip? What were the triggers? Really sit with those thoughts and bring them back to me. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. So again, yeah. No, I'm sorry, just reading James' comment there, but very good point there. You guys should read it in the comments below. But like I was saying, what can you expect from doing something as simple as the 7-day challenge? Well, first we'll create awareness. It'll create awareness of how hard you perceive something. 2, it will teach you how to solve the immediate problems, right? Because all of these challenges are all about solving problems. And the third one, if you successfully string together the 7 days, is building that confidence that you can do it. So report back to me on if you tried it, if it's something you don't like, what resonated from today's lesson that I think, is a really good one, especially when you're struggling in the middle of a challenge. I'm in the middle of a challenge right now, and I'm kind of feeling that, why am I doing this again? And checking in. But you know what? Having an accountability partner, celebrating my wins, has made a huge, huge difference to get me to my goal. And I hope that it helps get you guys to your goal. Next week, it's the last of the series, and we're going to talk about quitting, when to quit, why to quit, quitting, and self-confidence as it plays into ultimate confidence. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I look forward to talking with everyone next week. Bye.